Good morning, guys. Today is April 27th, and this is your math lesson for today. You will make sure to watch the instructional link, follow along as I teach, complete Homework Buddy Practice 10-1. You will complete your IXL until pinpointed, reflex until the green light. Okay, so make sure you respond to my post with a smiley face, follow along as I teach, and complete the Homework Buddy on Envisions. So today we're going to learn about how multiplication connects to fractions. All right, so we're going to extend that multiplication concept and include fractions in it. So it says, I can use fraction strips or a number line to understand fractions as a multiple of a unit fraction. But what does that word unit fraction mean? All right, so a unit fraction, we've heard this term before. It's a fraction with a numerator of a 1. So some examples are 1/2 or 1/4. So any fraction that has 1 as a numerator is considered a unit fraction because it's 1 unit of something. All right, so another example could be 1/8, 1/6, all right, 1/12. So those are all unit fractions whenever it's a numerator with a 1. So it says, Khalil and Mara were working on their math homework. Mara wrote 4/5 as 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. I think I said that 4 times. So let's try that again. Khalil and Mara were working on their math homework. Mara wrote 4/5 as 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. And you can see in the picture she has 4 green fraction strips, and she's adding them all together. Khalil looked at Mara's work and said, I think you could use multiplication to rewrite your equation. Is Khalil correct? Well, what do we know about addition of the same number, right? We've done that before. We did that with multiplication of whole numbers. We did 4 plus 4 plus 4. You have 4 3 times, so you have 3 groups of 4. So repeated addition of 4, you have 3 times 4, which is equal to 4 plus 4 plus 4. So the same thing happens with fractions, right? You can use multiplication when you have the same fraction over and over and over. So if we have 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, we can turn that into a multiplication statement and say 4 times 1/5 equals 4/5. So Khalil's observation is correct. Whenever you have the same fraction or same whole number repeated, you can use multiplication. So now knowing that, let's think of an equation to show the relationship between Mara's work and Khalil's observation. Okay, so Mara's work of 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, and Khalil says, well, 4 times 1/5, they both equal 4/5. So how are those two equations related? Well, we can say that 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 is equal to 4 times 1/5. That would be the same thing as saying 4 plus 4 plus 4 is equal to 3 times 4. All right, so let's click this link and we'll watch the visual learning video here. Make sure that you're logged into Envisions when this happens.
How can you describe a fraction using a unit fraction? Think about this question during the lesson. Courtney ran 3/4 of the way to school. Describe 3/4 using unit fractions. What is a unit fraction? A unit fraction is a fraction that describes one part of the whole. Unit fractions always contain the numerator 1. When a whole is divided into 4 equal parts, each part is described as 1/4. Courtney ran 3/4 of the way to school. How many 1/4 pieces are in the fraction strip that is 3/4 of a unit long?
All right, so let's go ahead and try that. So it says drag 1/4 pieces to the number line. So we'll drag it here. It's 1, 2, 3. So it says how many does it take to reach 3/4? Well, we just did 1, 2, 3 until we got to 3/4. So it says how many does it take to reach 3/4 and build a fraction strip that is 3/4 of the unit long? So they gave us extra pieces, but look, if you keep dragging them, we don't need them right now. So it says that once I drag them, I have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces.
3 1/4 pieces. 3 of those parts are described as 3/4. Is 1/4 a unit fraction?
Is 1/4
Check to see
a
if the
unit
numerator
fraction?
of the fraction is 1.
So let's think about this. Is 1/4 a unit fraction? Is the numerator a 1? Well, yeah, it is 1, so it's 1 piece, so that means that 1/4 is a unit fraction.
Yes. How can you write 3/4 as the product of a whole number and a unit fraction? 3/4 equals 3 times 1/4, or 3 1/4 parts. How can you write 3/4 as the sum of unit fractions?
How can you write that? If you're doing sum means addition. So how could we write that?
3 1/4 parts make 3/4. 3 times 1/4 equals 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. 3 times 1/4 equals the quantity 3 times 1 over 4, which equals 3/4. Make sure you multiply only the numerator by 3, so you don't end up multiplying by 3/3 or 1. Remember, a multiple is the result of multiplying a number by a whole number. Is 3/4 a multiple of 1/4? Select your answer.
So is 3/4 a multiple of 1/4? Let's see what happens if we pick yes. It absolutely is.
Yes, 3/4 is the result of multiplying 1/4 by the whole number 3. So 3/4 is a multiple of 1/4. Now you know how you can describe a fraction using a unit fraction.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's move on. And we have a unit fraction is a fraction that describes one part of the whole. Okay, so it says when a whole is divided into 4 equal parts, each part is described as 1/4. All right, so 3 1/4 parts make 3/4. And it shows here 3 times 1/4. So really what they did was they did 3 times 1 and they put it over 4. And they have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, which is equal to the same thing. All right, so it says, remember, a multiple is the result of multiplying one number by a whole. Okay, so 3/4 would be a multiple of 1/4. All right, so let's do this. Convince me, what number is 5/8 telling you how many equal parts are in one whole? What number tells you how many equal parts are described? How many 1/8 parts are there in 5/8? So let's read that again. What number in 5/8 tells you how many equal parts are in one whole? What number tells you how many equal parts are described? How many 1/8 parts are there in 5/8? So the denominator, which is 8, tells you how many equal parts there are, right? Because the denominator tells you how many parts are in the whole. The numerator tells you or describes how many equal parts are there. So if I ate 5 pieces of pizza, right? I ate 5/8 of the pie. 8 was the total amount of slices. 5 is what I ate, so that's the part. Okay, so there are 5 1/8 parts in 5/8, right? Because let's go back, sorry. If you did 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8, you got 5/8 when you added those eighths together. All right, so it says model with math. Draw a picture to explain why 3/5 equals 3 times 5. So I went ahead and I did that, and 3/5 is equal to 3 times 5. I'm sorry, 3 times 1/5, because 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 is the same as saying 3 times 1/5. And that's what I have there. So write a multiplication equation to show each part of the following story. Mark's family ate 7/4 chicken pot pies for dinner. There are 7 people in Mark's family. Each member ate 1/4 of the pie. Write a multiplication equation to show each part of the following story. So let's go ahead and look at that. So 7/4 is equal to 7 times 1/4, or 7 times 1/4 is equal to 7/4, right? Because 7 is my numerator, and I know that the parts are 1/4 to get to my whole, so 7 times 1/4. All right, so now let's try over here. It says number 3 through 6, write each fraction as a multiple of a unit fraction. So 2/3 would be what times 1/3? Well, what's my numerator? It's a 2, so 2 times 1/3 would give me 2/3. 5 times 1 what would give me 5/6. Well, what's my denominator? It's a 6, so 5 times 1, 6 would give me 5/6. So now let's think about 4 halves. If I have 4 halves, half is my denominator. My 2 is my denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that 4 times 1/2 gets me 4 halves. Okay. 6/5 would be 6 times 1/5. Now, I want you to go ahead and try it. You're going to log in and you're going to complete the homework buddy. Reflex until green light and IXL a diagnostic for 10 minutes to reach that pinpoint. Now let me show you where that homework buddy is. Go ahead and log in over here. All right, so you go to Old Bridge Admin. Okay, if you know a shortcut to get straight to Voorhees, you can do that, obviously. Click our school Voorhees, K-5 math. Click on my fish, and log in. Anthony's been so nice to let us use his login information to show you guys what to do. Click my work, and you guys are going to scroll down until you see 10-1 Practice Buddy Homework and Practice. Click the Get Started, and it will take you to what you need. Now, I went to the second page. I clicked that arrow over, so please make sure you do that. And that is it for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them on the homework board. Have a great day, guys, okay?